Hi there. If you are studying in the United States or are planning to do so, please watch this video because we have a guest here, a host family member, a host dad, Rick. For many, many years, he's going to share his experiences so far. So, hello, Rick.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fine.
So, let's start with the background, like who you are and why you started doing this.
Well, my personal background is I was born on a farm. I am the baby of 8 children. Our door was always open in our house to anyone that needed to come, stay, needed a place to stay. So that's been part of my makeup per se. Always had an open door policy in our home. Someone needed help. Now, as far as how I got up here from southeastern Ohio,
Yes.
was my wife started at KSU. The house that we purchased had a downstairs apartment and 3 extra bedrooms. We found that a lot of the international students could not afford to stay in what was available at KSU. So we started taking students would come and stay with us through word of mouth, and we enjoyed that over the years. And we've had students from all over the world, almost every continent except Antarctica. And I'm waiting for a penguin. Honest to God, I'm waiting for a penguin. I really am. But I mean, some of the students we have adopted as our children. Not legally, but I have given them paperwork, an adoption paper. They are near and dear to my heart to the point to where I have 4 biological children. Okay. And these kids that I've adopted as adults are just as dear to me as my biological children are. I always tell people I would take a bullet for my kids, even my adopted children, without a blink of an eye, and I would. I love them as much as I love my kids. Blood does not determine family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was a comprehensive introduction. Thank you so much. So, how many students have you hosted, if you remember, so far?
Close to 30. Most of them have been wonderful. The 99.9% have been wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's the next question, actually. Have you ever had any surprising thing while you were hosting them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
We've
are
had
weird. I accept
no,
that.
no, no. You're fine. Yeah, we actually have had a couple. We had one young man from India. He came from a very well-to-do family in India to the point to where he didn't even know how to boil water.
Wow.
Yeah, he'd had servants his entire life, and he was expecting us to carry on this tradition, and it was like that doesn't happen in this household. I mean, our students are given a very low rent to the point to where they pay us rent when we tell them we don't want rent. They can just come stay. And they can contribute towards one of the smaller utilities. But they all, they're like, I can't do it. I got to pay something, and they have to provide for themselves as far as, their own cooking, their own cleaning, things of that nature. They're provided with internet for free, cable, washer and dryer, you know. And this young man could not boil water. He had no functional clue how to do that.
At the age of?
26. Yeah, yeah. He was in dire need of a wife. At least that's how his parents put it. My personal opinion was he was in a dire need of being trained again how to be a human being.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you have any memorable stories?
I can tell you, I have one. It's a young lady, you know her, Maya.
Uh-huh.
It's one of my daughters. I was able to walk Maya down the aisle at her wedding because her father was in Turkmenistan. But she calls me Daddy Rick, and she has given me 2 beautiful grandchildren that call me Pawpaw. Both of them do. And I have taken care of the oldest one, Silas, babysat him since he was 2 weeks old. And him and I have a very close bond. And Makan, the youngest one, still, as soon as he hears me there, he screams my name and comes running. And that's probably my biggest memory is probably walking her down the aisle. That's one of the most special memories I have.
Wow, got goosebumps,
Yeah.
really. And what are some cultural differences that you experience, in general? Is there any tendency that international students have in terms of cultural differences?
Honestly, the only differences I've noticed is I'm very careful if I cook because I cook a lot. And I'm very careful due to religious beliefs as far as pork, non-halal meat. I'm careful with that. That's one of the only main differences. People around the world are pretty much the same. I'm not a person that cares for the stigma that Americans carry for Muslims because it's born out of ignorance and it's taught by ignorant people. But I mean, that is really about the only cultural differences I ever see is religion. And, but it fascinates me. It fascinates me. I love just learning about, how different cultures look at it, religions differently. It scares me sometimes, the fasting,
Yes.
because I can see the drain on the body of my kids. I get nervous. I mean, that's pretty much it. People are the same everywhere in this world. It's
Yeah.
just because someone's a different color, they wear a cloth over their head or across their face, they've got a beard, or they pray 5 times a day or something. It doesn't mean anything. They still. My grandfather taught me. He was born in 1897, and he taught me. He was in the First World War. He said, "Doesn't matter what color a person is, what they look like. You cut them, we all bleed red."
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Yep.
Well, what habits or behaviors take the longest to adjust to among international students?
I've never had a habit yet that's really bothered me, um, except they won't stop doing the dishes. I do the dishes in my house. Honestly, I do the dishes in my house, and it's just me. I'm anal that way, I guess, is the way I've been told. Maya told me that once. I like to do the dishes, make sure that they're done, but I do have certain stubborn children that who I'm talking about right
They
now.
are very close to us, actually.
Yeah, yes, that will not listen and they
Mhm.
want to do the dishes. I do the dishes in my house. That's probably about it. I would rather have an international student live in my home than I would an American student.
Why is that?
Oh my God. We've had 2 American students live in our home. Each time it's been nothing but an issue. We had one, she was a Vietnamese American, and she was entitled. She thought that whatever she wanted to do, and that did not work for me. Okay. Any international student I've ever had live in my home has treated my home as if it was theirs.
Yes.
They were polite, they were caring, they were just wonderful, and they studied. They're not there to party. They're there because they're determined to study and get an education. They're not there to play games. And to me, that's a work ethic. It touches me, that they want to work that hard.
Yeah. That might be a cultural difference. Would you say so?
Well, yeah, I guess it would be. American students are lazy until the last part of their college, and then they want to scramble. In my opinion, you know,
Okay. And in your experience, what challenges do students have in the first week in the United States?
homesick. They're homesick. I mean, if you're talking about American students or international students, they're homesick. They miss the routine. They miss family back home, friends, and it's obvious. And that's by staying with us, we try to, at least I do. I try to take that away with joking with them, being loud and crazy and doing strange things, just to try to throw them off their, thought patterns, and it seems to help. You know,
Nice.
that's the biggest thing I think. It's they just get lonely. You got to let them know that you're there for them, and that seems to take a lot of that away.
From my personal experience. You are supportive enough to them, and I believe you make it less, minimize the effect of
Yes.
homesickness. Well, do you have any house rules, by the way?
Anyway.
Any house rules, family rules,
Uh,
apart from dishes?
besides the dishes? No, I mean, the only other house rules we have is no smoking in the house, leaving candles lit when you leave, which is, it's common sense. Um, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you're a guy and you got a girlfriend, that's fine. Keep it in your room. If you're a girl and you got a boyfriend, keep it in your room. I mean, any kind of physical, uh,
Experiences.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're in the other room, if you're in the front room or something with them, you're holding hands, you're kissing them, whatever, that's fine. Just nothing more physical than that. But I mean, that's the only house rules there are besides clean up after yourself. You know.
Quite common.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's a family. You're in a family environment, so be part of the family.
Yeah. Do you have a chance to spend some time together? Like,
Oh yeah.
what do you do?
Oh, well, I've taught most of them how to drive to get their licenses, which can be scary at times. I've taken five of them to the shooting range
Wow.
to learn how to shoot because they wanted to, and it's kind of scary when I've taken them because they shoot really well, and that was surprising to me because I'm very proficient when I shoot. I grew up shooting, hunting and everything, and I'm shooting all over the place to thinking, oh, I'll make them feel better because I'm not hitting anything. And then they come up and all of a sudden they're just like, and it's like, oh my God, where did you learn to shoot? I've never shot before. I've done stuff like that. I've taken them car shopping to look for cars, which I just did with one of my other daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've done all kind of things with them. We go to parties together. We are part of the Central Asian group.
Yes.
Uh, Everybody there knows me very much, but it's
Uncle Rick.
Uncle Rick, yeah, Uncle Rick. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It really is. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it.
That sounds like an authentic experience, actually.
It is. It's like being part of a bigger family.
Mhm. Now, as someone who is renting a house, I feel jealous.
We've actually had people that have done that where they've rented,
Mhm.
and as soon as we have a room available, they're like right there. Maya was one for example. Maya was an example of that. Yeah, she found out that we had a room coming available, and she immediately came to the house and wanted that room.
That's amazing. Most of them are successful, right? Do you know where they are now, by the way?
I know where all my adopted kids are, and I know where a majority of the ones that we didn't adopt are. Yeah, they
Mhm.
keep in touch. They really do. There's only a few that I have no clue, and there's a couple that I really don't want to know where they are.
Yeah, it happens.
But that's very few. That's like one or two. But most of them, yeah, I know where they are. They keep in touch with me. They do, and it's nice. They were good kids, but didn't have that spark. I mean, I've got two adopted sons. One's in Vietnam right now. The other one's in Minnesota. He's a professor of economics there. He's married. And I've got 14 adopted daughters.
14.
14. We've had more women stay at the house than we have men that have stayed there. And all the girls are they're phenomenal. I've got one that works up here. She's married. She works for KSU. She's a resident manager of a couple buildings. And then there's Maya, which is also, she's a associate dean.
Yes.
I've got one that's on her way to South Carolina for a new job. She just graduated. I have one that works at another college in Kentucky. I have one that works as a procurement agent in Florida.
Well, come on,
Yeah,
stay with Rick, I would
yeah.
say.
I have one that she's a professor at the War College in D.C.
Mhm.
She's written a couple books. I have another one that's an actual physical doctor. She's a surgeon. Mm, but like I said, I love all these kids. Like I said, they're my kids.
Yeah.
Plain simple. My family's a rainbow, all different colors, races, creeds, religion, everything. I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Are there any common misunderstandings or miscommunication between host families and students?
I mean, I've heard of other people that have had students stay with them. And in some misunderstandings where the host families, they get a little bit, they look at the kids as almost being like teenagers, where they want to enforce like, you know, rules of times and things like that. And that's a big mistake because they're adults. They need to be treated as adults. And that's what we've always done. It's like when you come in, you come in. My one daughter's going to South Carolina to go to her job. There's times that she'll come in at 3 o'clock in the morning. I know she's not at a bar because she doesn't drink, but she'll go hang out with her friends. And I know she's there and she's probably dying laughing, enjoying herself, having a good time. That's just how she is. She's like a little ball of sunshine. But you got to treat them as adults. That's the biggest misconception that I think some people have. They try to act like, you have to treat them that way.
You think it comes with responsibility or?
I think it comes to part of that. Yeah, I think it is. And I think they kind of fall back into looking at it as like their own children. It comes a time where you have to let your kids be adults. And I think that they need to do the same thing with, the international students that are staying with them. I really do.
Well, here comes the next question.
Okay.
What do you think should students do? Definitely know actually before arriving in the United States, or do maybe.
Number one, I would definitely take and check the pricing of the housing. I would definitely try to contact as many other international students that are here. And, within their geographic location. If you're Central Asian, find as many Central Asian students as you can find in that group and try to find you some place where you can live that's not going to rob you in your, what your stipend is going to pay for your housing because it is very expensive. Find you a host family because they're going to tell you what's available, what they know of, who they know of, and that's a better bet than sitting there going to a professional rental company that's going to stick you wherever they can stick you. Some of these places around here, they charge $600 just for a bedroom, $600 to $1,200, and that is a lot of money out of a young person's stipend.
It is.
You know, it's just too much. It really is. I've got a friend of mine that him and I are working on a deal. Hopefully in the next 2 years, we're going to build a apartment complex up here.
Wow.
And it's going to be based on what they have. It'll be, like low income housing for international kids.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, if it works out.
That sounds amazing. So, what are some common mistakes you see international students make?
I think some of them come unprepared for like winter.
Mm.
They're not prepared for winter whatsoever when they come. Ohio's weather is bipolar. Okay, you understand the mental disorder bipolar. One day it's 70 degrees. The next day it's 21 degrees outside, Fahrenheit, not Celsius, but Fahrenheit. It's a shock to some of them. We've actually had students that have come and we're like, okay, we need to take you and get you winterized. And they're like, oh, it's nice out. And it's like, you don't understand. Tomorrow it could snow. And they're like, 70 degrees. And they kind of laugh. They think it's funny. 2 days later, it's snowing and it's like 32 degrees outside, and they're frozen.
Unexpectedly.
Yes, yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things. One of the biggest mistakes I see is they just kind of blow that off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I myself didn't like the winter.
Well, you come from a warm area.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan, right?
Yes, it is
Yeah.
relatively warmer, like in the place where I stayed in. And the minus 20, I had never seen actually the minus 20 degree in Celsius degree, by the way. And then the other day it's 0 and then 10 degrees and then it goes down.
Yeah, Ohio, like I said, it's bipolar. It's up and down. Bipolar, what it is, you're either on the high end of the, really happy, or really low the next day. And that's Ohio weather. But that's probably one of the biggest mistakes is clothing. The other thing too is now this is more Eastern culture. You'll see a lot of the Chinese students, they'll get into these deals of buying cars, and they don't have a license.
Wow.
That's a big thing that was going on. I don't know if it's been dealt with. A few years ago, there was a lot of students that would end up with these cars. They didn't have licenses and they were driving cars. And I think a number of students were deported when they got in accidents and things. Basically, they were scammed.
Yes.
So they've got to be careful. Because there's people out there that target the international kids. Best thing to do is to, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. It's not true.
And we kind of touched upon this topic. Is there anything else like you would mention about how you students feel supported, maybe on their first day of arrival?
I think for them to be, supported on their first day of arrival, um, they really need to know where they're going, what's going to happen. I think the biggest thing is that I don't think the college does enough welcoming them. I think they need to be a little bit more in depth, especially for the international students. I mean, in the States, the parents bring them, drop them off, the high percentage of American students. International students don't really have that. I mean, you do have some parents that afford it will come with their child, but the majority don't have that at all, and they're in a new country. English is not their first language. Okay. Everything is strange to them. The food, the smells, traffic, everything. And it's scary. It is very scary. And I think the college needs to do pardon my French, but a hell of a lot more in what they're doing. And I would like to see them even reach out to the community and ask the community, hey, can we have some volunteers come and help these kids?
I like the way you can build the empathy because while we were talking, I was imagining my first days, weeks here. I'm like, yes, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And speaking of community, like there should be a partnership with
There
community.
should be, yes. Any college should have a good community outreach program to where they're trying to get the community involved with the college. They need to step that up and do more than what they're doing. I mean, I know they have an office. They need to step that up and bring the community into that because there's tons of people that live in Kent that were former international students. Bring them in, get them involved.
Well, if you could give one message to international students or potential international students who are listening to us, what would be?
If you can find a host family, that would be so much better than you living in the dorms. The dorms are noisy because you're coming here to study, and there's so many distractions in the dorms. Find yourself a host family if you can. If you can't, find yourself another international student or students. Rent yourself an off campus apartment, small house, live together, share the utilities, share the bills. That way, at least you have a place to live that's quiet, you can study, and you can basically enjoy your college years. And you're not constantly being disrupted by other people.
Do you have any other remarks as we are kind of concluding?
The kids I've had, that have come through my life have done nothing but enrich my life. And this comes from, I consider myself a redneck. Okay. A lot of people give that a really negative
Connotations.
connotation, right? Um, but the way I was taught when I was growing up, what that means is, you'll do anything for anyone. Doesn't matter what your religion is, doesn't matter what your race is. You work hard, you play hard, and you enjoy yourself and you enjoy the company of others. And I guess I'm what you would call a liberal redneck. I mean, as far as I can see, these kids, they're just like I am, and they're the same way. They've really made my life fulfilled, and I love that. They've given me grandchildren. My son in Vietnam's given me two beautiful granddaughters. Maya's given me two beautiful grandsons. You know, I couldn't be happier. I've got a daughter in Warren. She's given me two beautiful grandkids, three beautiful grandkids. I have no complaints.
That's
None.
amazing.
You know, I've got a good life. I do. Love my kids.
I thank you so much for being my first interviewee. Really, yeah, it was enjoyable to listen to you. Thanks for sharing your invaluable experience with me and the audience.
You're welcome.